Hello students, this is your flipped vocabulary lesson for lesson 22 in Storytown Vocabulary. For this lesson you will need a pen or a pencil and your vocab sheet. If you lost your copy of the vocab sheet, you can find another one on my website. Let's get started. First, let's review the directions. First, you will watch and listen to this presentation on your own. Feel free to pause and go back as needed. Then, write the definition or meaning of each word. Finally, write a brief response to each question that goes along with the vocabulary word. We should be ready to get started with our first word now. The first word on the list this week is lustrous. You probably already knew that lustrous is an adjective because it ends with the O-U-S adjective ending. Let's look at the definition of the word lustrous. The definition is something that shines or glows. So if I wanted to use the word lustrous in a sentence, I might say, some people use a special shampoo in order to have lustrous hair. What is something else that could be lustrous? Think about your answer and write your answer on the vocab sheet. Our next word this week is preceded. Preceded is a verb or action word in a sentence. Let's write the definition of the word preceded. Preceded means when something has occurred or gone before something else. If I wanted to use the word preceded in a sentence, I might say, I preceded my trip to the grocery store by making a grocery list so that I would be prepared. Now let's think about our question. What letter precedes L in the alphabet? I bet some of you are going to sing this song in order to figure out the answer to this question. The next word this week is prolonged. This time we are going to use the word prolonged as a verb, but sometimes you can use it as an adjective to describe something. The definition of prolonged is when you make something last longer. So, for example, I could use the word prolonged like this. I tried to prolong my visit to my best friend's house because we were having such a fun time together. What is something you might want to prolong? Write your response on your vocab sheet. The next word on our list is resigned. You have maybe heard this word used as a verb before. In that case, the word resigned means that you have quit something. But in our stories this week, we will be using the word resigned as an adjective or describing word. In this case, the definition of resigned is accept something as it is because you know you cannot change it. So let's look at an example of how to use the word resigned in a sentence in this way. You could say, the athlete was resigned to losing the race after he twisted his ankle halfway through. Listening to that example and thinking about our definition, think about this question. How might you feel if you are resigned to something? Write your response on your vocab sheet. Our next word this week is restored. Restored is a verb or action word when it's used in a sentence. The definition of restored is to put something back to its original condition. If I wanted to use the word restored in a sentence, I might say, I restored my friendship with the girl by apologizing for the mistakes I had made. Now think about this question. Why would a painting be restored? Think about your response and write it on your vocab sheet. The next word this week is strategically. This is an adverb, which we can tell because a lot of adverbs end with ly. Adverbs modify adjectives or verbs. If you wanted to use the word strategically as an adjective, which would be a word describing a noun, you would take off the suffixes and just use strategic. The definition of strategically is deliberately putting something in a place where it will have the most effect. So, I could say, I strategically placed my pawn to help me win the game of chess. Now, I want you to think of another game that is played strategically and write it on your vocab sheet. The penultimate word this week is temperament. The M-E-N-T suffix gives us a hint that this word is a noun, which is a person, place, thing, or idea. A temperament is an idea, and the definition is mood, or how people react to situations. If I wanted to use the word temperament in a sentence, I might say that a cup of coffee improves many people's temperaments in the morning. Now think about this question. What kind of job needs a person with a good temperament? Write your idea on your vocab sheet. The next word this week is trespasser, which is a noun because a trespasser is a person. If I wanted to use this word as a verb, I would take off the noun suffix and just use the verb trespass, which is an action. The definition of trespasser is a person who walks on someone's property without permission or consent. So I could use the word trespasser in a sentence like this. The trespasser climbed over the fence in order to reach the person's backyard. Now, how can you warn someone not to trespass on your property? Think about it and write your response on your vocab sheet. That's it. Now let's look at what's next. First, go back to review any words you do not understand. Highlight or circle any words you still have questions about, and we will discuss them in class. Then, be ready to play a review game in class using these words. You will read and understand stories that use these vocabulary words in them. And as usual, you will use each word in an original sentence, and this will be your end of week quiz. Good luck, and make sure you are turning in your assignment on time. We will see you next week.